um, Gary and I have not talked in how long now?
It's like 3 weeks. It's crazy.
Which is a
Something
long
like
time.
that.
It's not how you work a successful podcast. However, you and I have been pretty busy. We spent about 20 minutes talking about vacations we went on and some other stuff, and that's what happened. So a lot of things been going on. So we kind of talked about this, and I'll talk. We have a similar story going on. So you were left alone at your house. How did that go? And
So my wife had vacation time build up that she had to take. She had to essentially take it before June, where she loses it. And so she was trying to get it all of her free time, or all of her vacation time spent. So she took the kids to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, and they kind of had a good time out there. Carter and Kaylin did the ropes course stuff, and so they enjoyed themselves. And it left me here by myself. And what it really found out is that I'm not good by myself. So
yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, do you think it's because we have no structure? Do you know what that means? Like, that's probably not the best statement, but that's what I was thinking, because I'm used to, maybe the chaos is part of what I'm used to, right? Maybe same for you, but there is structure because the kids go to school, you go to work, your wife goes to work, you come home, you guys eat dinner, and then you watch TV or whatever you do. That's kind of my schedule, but
well,
that's gone.
honestly, I'll tell you the thing about it with me is, like, I don't mind a little bit of free time, but if I have too much free time, I get too in my head.
Same.
And it's probably good for me to have that free time, because then I can get to sit and think about how much of a piece of garbage that I am, and try and make myself a better person. But like, I remember like day 3 of them being gone, because they were gone for 4 days. Day 3 of them being gone, I was just sitting on the back deck and kind of like looking out at our uncut bushes that need trimmed. And I was like, man, I'm a shitty person.
Yeah.
So, and then just trying to figure out like why I do the stuff that I do, and everything gets philosophical. And that's the thing, is like, it became a philosophical thing where I was like judging all of my actions, and then I couldn't get that out of my head because there was nobody to distract me from it. And usually when there's thoughts creep into my head about how I need to be a better person, there's, Dad, take me here. Hey, honey, go to the store and get me this. And it wasn't there this time. It was just, and I don't watch TV, and
Right.
I don't watch movies. And so essentially I was just kind of like hanging out. Now, one night I did go out with some buddies from work, and we went and had a couple drinks. But other than that, like, if I wasn't doing jujitsu, I was at home. And so I was with me and myself and I.
Which, yeah, the same here. So yeah, mine's going on right now, right? So my family went away on the weekend to my middle son had a soccer tournament in North Carolina, out in your neck of the woods. So they're out there, and then after the soccer tournament, which was last Saturday and Sunday, they decided to go to Holden Beach, and so they've been there since, right? And I've got work to do. I can't really make it. Logistically, it made no sense. Plus, when Lisa and I are both gone from the gym, it's kind of a cluster, right? Like, I run the jujitsu part. Obviously, she runs the cardio part, but we have new people starting all the time, and it's kind of odd, right? Like, because really, and even what everybody that covers for us does an amazing job for 100% sure. But it's different when like your name's not on the door and it's you don't have skin in the game kind of deal, right? Like, and I've watched this. I helped cover Lisa's cardio kickboxing class the other day, and it's just it's a different vibe, right? Like, it's way and again, not saying anything bad, it's because honestly it's the opposite. Those people are amazing, but it's like when you're used to somebody, right? Like, anybody else is not the same person, right? It's just how it is. If I start with you or me, that's who I'm used to. And Hoist Gracie could come in, and it's probably a bad example because they're going to like Hoist Gracie, but I mean, it's like, it's hard to be that person that you're used to because that's what you're familiar with, right? So I see that going on a lot. So my point is, I'm trying to be here to just like be there for that kind of stuff. Like, hey, I'm still here, and things aren't running how they usually are, and she'll be back. And the funny thing is, like, I'm literally the one that kind of got her started on this and taught her what she knows, but at the beginning. So that's not a fair statement because she's done like leaps and bounds above me on cardio kickboxing and what she does. But she is so much better than I could ever hope to be. Like like a couple of times she's been late because she's had her jobs kind of kept her over, and I had to cover for her for just 15 minutes. And those 15 minutes were so awkward that like people would even complain. They're like, he doesn't even know what he's doing, which really pisses me off because I'm like, do you not see the gym? It's got my name on it. What do you mean I don't know what I'm doing? But they also are right. Like, I really don't, like, because I'm not her, and they expect a certain vibe and a certain energy along with the way that she teaches, which is not going to be the same way that I teach. And my energy is different. Like, we're both very encouraging, but I'm not the same. Like, she just got especially for females, man, she just got a vibe that I can never match, right? Like, it's amazing. But anyway, yeah, I've tried to stay busy, and I get it, man. Like, it's been tough. Like, so the only thing that helped me, which will be good because this is kind of a secret, so nobody will know, and until this podcast comes out, but is she just randomly said, why don't you paint, our middle son's room, right? Because it's John Deere green, which is an awful color. Like, it's because one of my sons loved John Deere at one point. But so anyway, yeah. So I'm doing that and I'll be honest, I'm spending night and day because I work all day and then I have the gym. So there's only this brief point of time that I can get this done, which is a great time to do it because there is no kids here and they don't have to smell the fumes and they're not going to be in the way. So it is the time, but I have to really bust my ass to get that done. And, like I was telling my wife that, and she apologized. But I'll be honest, just what you said is actually a good thing because it's kept my mind off all the exact same things that you said. Like, I mean, I can't do jujitsu every day. That's the one thing that keeps my mind off stuff. And unlike you, I sit and watch TV, which is terrible for you. I'm very freaking lazy. And I've mentioned on this a million times. I watch Skinwalker Ranch 100 times. Times. Like, I also watch the most mindless, stupid stuff. Which doesn't help. So at least I do have this project, and I wouldn't say I'm getting any more jujitsu time in because I'm not, because it's still dependent on other people that we all have to work. But yeah, man, it's difficult. You would think it'd be great, but it's not. Like, I'm used to it. It is what it is, right?
Well, and that was the thing for me. It was like the first day was nice. It was like, hey, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna hang out with my guys, and nobody's gonna tell me I can't hang out with the guys or that I have to be home at a certain time. And I even like, hey, I get to add a bonus open mat, and whoever shows up to the bonus open mat, because there's nobody telling me that, hey, you're spending too much time at jiu-jitsu and this is X amount of times a week that you've been there. So I was able to go to the bonus open mat, and I was able to go out with the guys. And then after that, there was still a lot of time there that was normally filled up with, hey, we're taking take Carter to go get a haircut, or Caitlin wants to go to the movies, or hey, we're going to run to the grocery store and pick up, whatever is at the grocery store. And all of that middle of the day was gone. And it was Monday, or I'm sorry, it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday that I was by myself. And so like Friday, I worked all day, and then I came home, and then it was an empty house. And that was nice that night.
Yeah.
But everything after that was just like, God, I'm a shitty person. Like, it's amazing how fast I dive into, like, I get to relax and do what I want to do, into, man, I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's rough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in a weird way, right? Like, it's probably why, judging off some of the conversations on some other podcasts I've listened to, but that's why, like, we do a decent job, right? Because we're probably self-critical, but that self-critical stuff is also not healthy, right? Like, when you're by yourself with just your thoughts, right? Because I do the same thing. It's like, if I'm just sitting watching TV, I'm just like, I am so lazy. I'm just a piece of shit. Like, but like, I get, like, us talking now, I know, like, we both deserve some downtime, right? But it's probably also healthy that we know, like, that we say that, because what if that's all I wanted to do is watch Ancient Aliens every single day? That's not good. That's not going to get me anywhere. there's no job for that. Right? Like, that literally helps me in nothing. And honestly, like it's the thing, like when I say watch, I really do watch that stuff, but like I'll sit and think why. It's not really like because I like have this fascination with aliens like people do with Star Wars or whatever. I think it's because it's mindless. Like it's just like the same stuff and the same voice. And it's like, because I also, when I say that, that is true, but I will sit and watch Pawn Stars every day. It's just mindless TV. Like, and I will actually say that Pawn Stars helps me with my real job because it's a lot of negotiation, but it doesn't help me at all. I do like to watch and Pawn Stars and man, it's just a lot of stupid TV that and what's the other one? American Pickers that I watch. Like,
I'll tell you the one that had my attention for a little bit was the Axemen, where the
yeah,
guys are logging.
yeah, because you're waiting for them to get hurt, which is
Yeah,
also right. like I don't want them to get hurt, but I kind of want to see it. You know, like
yeah.
I think one day I thought about that. I was like, well, that's odd. Like it is why everybody's watching it, right? Because it's a dangerous like that and the crab fishermen, right? Like because that's the thing. They're two super dangerous jobs, which is why they're on TV. So essentially, we're watching to see somebody get hurt, but I don't really want like I love those people. Like they're for good people. Like I don't want to, or Gold
It,
Rush. I watch the shit out of any kind of Gold Rush stuff, right?
it's the NASCAR effect, right?
Yeah,
Because if we're being honest, NASCAR is boring as hell. It's
yeah,
500 miles, right? Or 500 laps. I'm not sure if it's miles or laps. I think it's miles. But
yeah,
them going in a left-hand turn,
yes,
and
yeah.
it's 3 hours of left-hand turns, and all we're watching it for is for somebody to slam into a wall.
Yeah, and that's the thing. For whatever reason, I've never watched that, which is no, it doesn't sound bad, but I agree, and I've heard watching it live is awesome, and I've not. There's a lot of sports like that. Like I'll be on it, like baseball. Watching it on TV like hurts my head because it's long and kind of boring. And but you watch that the same game when you're there. There's just a different vibe, man. I grew up in Cleveland, and it was a cool thing early on when I was young because Cleveland was terrible. That's when Major League, the movie came out because Cleveland was awful, right? But that was true. Like I could turn on the radio. They could be like, hey, man, Cleveland Indians are playing the Seattle Mariners. I wouldn't even know till I turned the radio on and I could go to the game for like $5 because nobody went. Right. And it was fun. Like then you could sit in the crowd and heckle people, which the way people heckle people now is not what we would do. But like I remember heckling somebody for really mainly my friend, but there was like so few people at the Cleveland Indians Seattle Mariners game that like he just kept saying stupid stuff, nothing bad, really. Like we're just kids. And like the guy finally was like, if you shut up for this next inning, I will give you anything you want. Like literally, that's what he said. Like a baseball player for Seattle Mariners. So of course my friend was dead quiet, and he gave him a whole box of bazooka bubble gum and a baseball, like what I mean, like which was awesome, like and we could do that at any time. There was like Ken Griffey Jr. That's because I remember that was like Ken Griffey Jr. was there. It was like awesome, and like we could just sit and talk to them. Like it was so like vacant that our voices weren't muffled out. They were like loud and proud. Like if I was like, you suck, they'd be like, F you, like you suck. Like they would talk right back to us, which is amazing when you're like, 10 to 15 or whatever it was. But yeah, that was fun. But I remember, like, watching it on TV and it was terrible. And, another note, that a cool thing, just thinking of that memories, it was like, man, we were so lucky when we were kids because times were different. Like there's no internet, right? So like I could sit like you knew where the Indians were coming out and we could wait outside of their locker room. Like a bunch it wasn't even a bunch. We were talking like 20, 30 people would sit all like seemed like for an hour. Probably it was like 30 minutes for people to get like showered and come and they would come out and like talk to you. Like not like today. Like can you imagine like sitting and trying to talk to Stephen Curry or whoever? It's not going to happen, right? But we would sit out there and then they would come out and like sign autographs and bullshit with you and do stuff like that. It was really cool growing up in Cleveland, man. Like I'm sitting in, where I do the podcast now, and I've got like right in front of me, on the other side, obviously I got a bunch of UFC stuff behind me, but in front of me, I got like all these autographed baseballs from Cleveland Indians back in the day. I've got a whole book from Cleveland Cavaliers, another whole book from Cleveland Browns. Like it'd be wild. Like my mom would keep baseball cards and football cards and basketball cards in our car because you could just run into a player anywhere. Like you'd
Right.
go,
Yeah. Well, that was kind of the thing. Like, I've got some friends who are huge Cincinnati Reds fans, and when
yeah,
they were kids, their parents would take them to Cincinnati Red games, and a few of them are from the Dayton area, which is a little closer to Cincinnati. But they would go to the games, and at the time, obviously, 80s, 90s, the Reds were a little bit better off than what the Indians were, but it was still the kind of the same thing what you're talking about. Is it wasn't much to sit outside and wait for him to come out and maybe get an autograph. And they would do the same thing. They would have a stack of Cincinnati Reds baseball players ready to go. And then, if Pete Rose happened to come out, they rifle through the cards to Pete Rose and then hand
yeah.
Pete Rose the card to sign. Same thing, like maybe it's going to be somebody else on the team. Oh man, I'm trying to think of what was the pitcher's name that was in the Reds in the 80s.
Yeah.
Was it Kittle?
Oh, that sounds right. I mean, that's the funny thing is they had a good team. Like I can't remember the
Yeah.
name. Eric Davis, like while you're just
Eric
talking.
Davis. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was another one, like Larkin. Was it Barry
Barry
Larkin?
Larkin.
Yeah. Now I can't remember their but here's the funny thing is probably within the last 10, 15 years, I was at a meeting in Cincinnati, and it was when one of those two, if not both of those guys, but probably at least one of them was getting inducted to the Cincinnati Hall of Fame or something weird like that. I just happened to be staying at the same hotel, went to the hotel bar to get a drink, and it was like Eric Davis. And I, of course, I didn't know who they were. I wouldn't know from, that was in the 80s, but everybody else did. So I was like, holy shit, like I know who you are. And they're like, yeah. But it was like a little crowd, like nobody. And of course, I didn't have nothing get signed, and I really wasn't. I was just like thought it was cool. I was like, well, that's cool. Like you were like, I remember having your baseball card in 1987, like the wood background tops card with Eric Davis on it.
I
Like I
remember.
remember it
Yeah.
specifically. And it's like that nostalgia is anyway. I feel like one way, like we have that our kids will never have, because you don't have access to LeBron, right? Or I keep mentioning basketball players because I don't know the baseball players as well anymore. But it's like you don't have access to those people like we did. Like I'm telling you, all the things I did was like nuts when I was a kid. Like if I look back, the Cleveland Indians, of course, again, they were not that good, but like if you got all A's, you could go and like all of them would sit at a one of those 8-foot plastic tables, and you can get autographs. Like when I was a little kid, like and we would go, and like they would just be sitting there. It was like nothing. Like you'd go, I was on the field getting like in that time, like again, I was like 85, 86, 87, like Corey Snyder. Like I'm a big Cleveland fan, obviously, because that's where but it's just so weird. Like, they were just there, right? And anyway, cool stuff. Like I always bring that up, to stick back to what we're used to is like, which I think is cool, is like, imagine that now, right? Things have changed, as we just said, but like us playing one-on-one with LeBron, virtually impossible, right? You'd have to have some magical connection. But us rolling with Gordon Ryan, still pretty difficult, but not that difficult, right? You probably go to a seminar and he'd roll with everybody.
Right.
That's fucking nuts, right? Or the most, like Hoist Gracie, like obviously in most people's minds, like the father of jiu-jitsu, at least his family. Like I trained with him for years, right? Like think of the sport that we do, and we have that access to people. Like anybody that you really love, chances are you can get them in for a seminar. Now, some people are like in that note. I remember trying to get Randy Couture for a seminar one time, and he was $24,000. That's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that being said, my friend took a private for him, or a private with him, and it was still out of my price range, probably $1,000 an hour, but he paid it. So it's not inconceivable. Like if if I was a huge basketball fan, I loved Michael Jordan, and he was like, look, it's $1,000 an hour to hang out with me. Most people would do that, right? We have the opportunity to do that. It's pretty nuts, right? Like, I don't know. Do you think someday that that'll be unattainable? Do you think we'll get to where like those guys are so famous that's not going to have like Conor McGregor's pretty close, right? Like, I bet he's pretty close.
Well, I think there are certain guys who are unobtainable. At least MMA wise, maybe not jiu-jitsu, but MMA wise, your Conor McGregor's probably out of reach. There was a time that I would say John Jones was probably out of reach for us, but maybe not now. We'll see
Yeah.
how he's supposed to fight Stipe. We'll see how it goes after that. If he loses to Stipe, he might be a little more obtainable.
Yeah.
Um,
I would have
but,
not to be a fight predictor, but I'd have to say to win that fight, even though Stipe is the most underrated heavyweight ever, I just feel like the longer we wait, the older Stipe gets, right? And the
yeah,
less active you're right. Anyway, not to get into that, but that poor guy, they really fucked him over. Would be one of the best people ever, and he just struggles to get a fight, right? Like, and then when he finally does, I'd almost imagine they hope he loses. I just feel like he's the most screwed over guy, but I could be wrong. It just seems like they hate him.
yeah. Well, and it could be us coming off as kind of homers. Obviously, like you're from Cleveland, and I was an Ohio guy, and
Yeah, but
so like, but honestly, like most title defenses beat a ton of amazing guys to
yeah,
keep the title and win the title. Verdum, I personally think Verdum might be the greatest heavyweight of all time. At least I think it's arguable, and people forget
uh,
about. He beat Fedor Emelianenko. He
yeah,
beat Mark Hunt with a knockout knee.
yeah. Can't,
um, Cain Velasquez in what was supposed to be Cain's territory, because it was in Mexico City, was at altitude, and everybody thought, well, Cain trains at altitude. He should be, Cain's cardio king. He outworked Cain. So it was one of those things where it's like Stipe beat him and then held the title the longest, and still kind of gets looked over, and beat Francis Ngannou. Like,
absolutely.
and people forget about that too, and they want to say Francis is the greatest of all time somehow, even though he only had one fight. And did he even have a title defense?
It's a good question. Not that I know of, right? I think he's immediately been in contract dispute since his title win, right? Because now it looks like it's evident he's going to fight Tyson Fury. They're already hyping it up, but like it's not a done deal, obviously, right? But like, man, yeah, I don't think so. No, and what comes to mind while you're saying all this, because Daniel Cormier is one of the most underrated heavyweights. Like he's went through everybody as well, but Stipe was dominant for all those years, and everybody was saying, on paper, the best heavyweight of all time. He lost to Daniel Cormier, and they would not give him an immediate rematch, right? Like, can you imagine in any other division? They were like, no. And the only reason he got it was because Brock Lesnar didn't fight and everybody else dropped out. So they're like, okay, I guess you get it. And then he won it. It's like, you're right. I don't think it's an Ohio thing, because honestly, like, I'm not a huge Stipe fan, like just because like I guess he's not flashy. Maybe the same reason UFC don't like him. I do like him, right? But it's not like like if I hear Stipe's fighting, I'm not like, oh man, I gotta see that, right? As opposed to John Jones, where I'm like, man, I gotta see that, right? Like, for whatever reason, it's that, and I'm in that, it's weird, man. It's weird. Like, but I do feel bad for the guy. I do, because he's like still around, and he's like, you hear all these things about who's next, who's gonna fight. And it's like, it's almost forced that his name's involved. Like nobody wants to actually even put his name on anybody. And it's like, it's so freaking weird. Like, because he's not that unmarketable. He's a firefighter, for God's sake. He's never quit his job. He could be marketed the right way. It doesn't matter if his personality sucks. There's a bunch of people that personalities aren't that good. Like I wouldn't say Charles Oliveira's person. I don't even know what he says because he don't speak English, right? Like, or Fedor for that matter. He didn't speak English, right? Like you can
Well,
market people.
how long was Jose Aldo champion?
Absolutely. Right. It's like
He
you can market anybody, right?
Yeah, and that was the thing. I kind of, I'm going to go back to 2 points, and this is going to lead us into the next thing. Um, it really comes down to how dominant you are and how much trash you can talk. And those are the two things that matter. Jose Aldo, and this is the thing with Jose Aldo. Jose, he was dominant for, it was like 6 years or something like that, where he beat everybody. And there was no question of whether or not he was going to win. He had lightning fast kicks, knockout power, and he was a small guy at that. So when, like, you know, it was one of those things where it was an entertaining fight all the time. And so that was his big thing. Or you just have to be, and this is, and I think you like these guys a little bit more than I do, because I don't like the trash talk, but like, you just have to be a shitty person. You know,
You do,
like
right?
the
Yeah.
Conor McGregors or the Chael Sonnens, what's the guy that got into a fight with Jorge Masvidal?
Kobe Covington.
Kobe Covington, thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, those guys, like, I can't stand anything about the way they do it. You know, I come from the school of, like, act like you've been there. That's the reason I love Fedor. You know, Fedor, he would win a fight and he looked like he just got served a really bad plate of pasta. You know?
No, you're right, and that's the odd thing about I don't even know what you call it, but yeah, that's the odd thing, because I agree with you. Like, I typically, because I try to be humble, and the same thing. I used to love my friend George. He fought in Pride 2, fought some killers. He fought in K1, a bunch of that. But what I learned from him, we were training partners, and what I learned from him is that everybody would be like, oh man, like, especially, you know, we're in small town West Virginia, and they'd be like, man, you're fighting so and so, man, you're the shit, you're this and that. And he'd be like, I'm just gonna get my ass kicked, right? And like, at first I was like, no, you don't talk like that. You're supposed to say you win, right? But like, eventually I loved how humble he was, and I loved how he took the pressure off himself, because like, if you're a Conor McGregor or Kobe Covington or Brock Lesnar, and you're like, I'm gonna fuck this guy up, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then you don't perform, like, you've got a lot of, like, right, everybody's waiting for you to lose, and like, yeah, you've got a lot of pressure. And I guess that inadvertently is why I like those guys, because the guys that actually talk trash and win, like Connor and Brock Lesnar, when they were doing good, like, that's the thing. And they have all had bad spurts, and Colby Covington, right? I guess that's my thing, because if you talk shit and you back it up more than once, then I'm like, well, that's pretty cool. And it's funny because I don't, like, Brock Lesnar checks all the boxes for somebody that I should hate. I hate bullies, right? I hate, like, assholes, and he checks all the boxes, but like I have, like, this warm spot in my heart for him, because I don't know why. It's like, when I met my wife, she was enthralled by him because he had the look, right? He was big, and he's mouthy because he was from the WWE, and she was like, so the first fight we ever watched together, right? Like, we we started
Please
dating.
wait. Please tell me it was Frank Mir 1.
It absolutely was, right? So we first start dating, and I'm like, hey, I'm into jiu-jitsu and MMA and all this stuff. And she's like, okay, cool. Everybody tries to pretend they know what that means, right? So I'm at her house, and I was like, let's order the UFC. So we order it, and which was cool for her, because I'm sure that was at her house, and it was probably $70, right? It's good for her, right? So she sees Brock Lesnar, she's like, holy shit, this guy's a fucking Goliath, right? He's like, got the look, he's got the talk, he's got everything, right? And the funny thing, Frank Mir is a beast too, but like, Brock Lesnar looks like Frank Mir is nothing, right? Frank Mir is 265, he's like a beast, right? Brock Lesnar makes him look like nothing. But anyway, so she was like, this, just like everybody that's never watched fight, she's like, that guy's gonna fucking kill that guy. Like, she's like, this is stupid. Why are they having this fight, right? So we watched the fight, and of course it's kind of going that way, right? He's like bouncing Frank Mir's head off the canvas like a basketball, and all of a sudden he gets knee barred, and she's like, what was that? What's going on? I was like, babe, that's jujitsu. That's what I do right there. So I get to claim victory, and she's like, what do you mean that's what I was like, that's what you do, man. Like, you can be getting your face pounded in, and all of a sudden you catch something and you submit it. And so she was like hooked, right? She was like, really? so she still loved Brock Lesnar, of course, but then now she was interested. Like, so it was cool. So then we had this little transition, but I became a fan of Brock Lesnar too. I don't know why. Like, even though he lost and I was like bragging, I think she turned me over too, because she just was like, I don't know what it is. I like that guy. Like, and I was like, I think I do too. Like, I think I like, and then like, then when I guess, I don't know if it was if they had an immediate rematch or not, but we watched the second one and I was rooting for him. And it was odd because I should root for the jiu-jitsu guy and he won. And it was just cool because it was like me and the way that he talked afterward. I don't know if that was the fight, but maybe it was. But the time where he was like, I don't know.
Red panty night.
Well, no, but similar, right? Like he was like, fuck Budweiser, I like Coors Light, blah, blah, blah. And, and he kind of got in trouble where I think that was the statement, but he had to have 2 Coors Lights or Budweisers at his press conference at the end. But he was funny because he was like, like, what are you gonna have to fight? And he's like, I'm gonna go fuck my wife, and just like very similar to Conor McGregor, but I think Conor's like more polished. He's just raw and just dirty, right? Like that kind of stuff, right? And his wife was Mabel from the WWE, and I remember that. But anyway, maybe it was part of it, was like the nostalgia. But anyway, yeah, like my wife and I bonded over him in a way, so we would root for him. And then when we would go to Buffalo Wild Wings and all the stupid WWE fans would sit and talk like they knew fighting, right? It would infuriate me. However, I was kind of on their side. Like, that was the weird part. It was like half of me was pissed and then half of me was like, I hope he wins. Like, and it was so strange. And
okay.
Memory, right?
So Buffalo Wild Wings. I'll never forget this. It was Nate Diaz. It was the Nate Diaz fight, Conor McGregor.
Oh,
So I think that was a second round finish, if I'm correct.
Second or third. It's like when he gassed. I remember that.
Yeah, and then he caught him in the rear naked choke. And it was the same night that Holly Holm got beat by Miesha Tate, I think.
Really? Okay.
I think that was the same night. But anyway, I remember specifically that because it was at Buffalo Wild Wings. Me and my wife went out to eat at Buffalo Wild Wings and watch that fight. Mostly because I vote with my dollar, and I wasn't going to spend money where Conor could get any of my money, so I wasn't going to buy that pay-per-view.
Yeah. How's this work? How we so different?
I can't.
It's funny. I'm glad we're talking about it, but it's so funny because we're the same on most things except for that. Like, where
I hate it. I dare anybody to find me a picture of me winning where I do anything other than the Fedor Emelianenko and just raise my hand, like have my hand raised. Because like I am so annoyed by the like ripping open my gi guy. And I don't even want to say annoyed, but it's just like I just feel like when you do that, that tells me you had doubt.
Yeah. No, listen. That's the funny thing about all this. I agree with you. I don't know why it's like the other. Like while you're just talking, I was like, maybe it's because I'm introverted and those guys are extrovert. I wish I was them. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's it. I'm just maybe, but.
Well, and that the other thing is don't ever get this confused, because I think all of those guys, first of all, they're in the UFC. They're amazing fighters. I have a ton of respect for them. I know how hard they have to work in order to make it there. And I know how hard they've had to work in order to maintain that competitive level. And I know that they're putting extra pressure. Like you said, they're putting extra pressure on you to win. Because if you got a loud mouth, man, you got to back that up. And nobody's going to believe you if not. But then we also see the Conor McGregors where you haven't won a fight since 2015.
I agree. I know.
That's 7. You haven't won a fight in 7 years, and you're still talking trash.
I'm still rooting for him, man. He's gonna make a comeback. When he beats Charles Oliveira, you're gonna be pissed.
I'll listen. I will eat a Conor McGregor a proper 12 hat if he beats Charles Oliveira.
think about this, but not to cut you off, but think about it because I don't want to forget this. I walked, no joke. I walked out with Charles Oliveira in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for one of his fights. And I'm still hoping Conor McGregor beats him up. Think about that. That doesn't make any sense, right? I should be like, that's my boy. Like I walked out with him. Like they announced his name. And for whatever reason, the UFC allowed me to pretend I was Charles Oliveira. So they gave me like a 5-second difference. So they announced him, he walks out, and then me and my wife walk out. So we could pretend that we heard the pop of the crowd. And then he fought, and I don't remember if he won, like I literally don't remember, but that was at the Console Energy Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, whatever. Way before, you know what I mean? Like you would think. And Manny Gambrian was his corner man.
Oh, it's cornerman.
Yeah, I remember all this like it was yesterday. Because I mostly because when he became champion, I was like, I walked like I didn't even know who that guy was, but I walked that guy out. Like I was like with him. But still, like as soon as I saw he beat Justin Gaethje, which I was shocked, I was like, all right, that's it. Conor's gonna fuck him up because his stand-up's fucking terrible. Like now his ground game's off, like awesome, obviously, but like this is the only person I feel like Conor McGregor's got a chance at. I thought if Justin Gaethje wins, he would get murdered. Right. I could be wrong. I'm not a fucking fight expert. Like I'm around the game, but pretend that I'm an expert. No, I barely watch this shit, but I think he can beat Charles Oliveira. I could be wrong. Nate Diaz beat him on the ground. Right. And Charles Oliveira is crushing people, but man, I just feel like he might knock this guy out. I'm hoping for it. I know you're not, but
well, if it happens, if that fight happens, we need to have a gentleman's bet on it somehow.
We need to get together for that fight. They're one of the few times I'll come to North Carolina. If this fight happens,
all right,
I'll go whatever. I'll just
if this fight happens, I'm going to pay for you to come down.
No, you don't have to pay. I'll go.
Shut up. I do.
Yeah, no, but I'll go. I hope it happens because anyway, it would be awesome. I was at Conor McGregor, Jose Aldo when you're speaking about. I was at that fight, which is retarded. Like it wasn't on purpose, not because I'm a Conor McGregor fan. And here's the funny thing: I was like everybody. That's when Conor McGregor wasn't Conor McGregor. He was just a shit talker, and everybody asked me who's gonna win. I was like, Jose Aldo is gonna crush him. Like this guy's never seen leg kicks. He's gonna die. Like he's over. And then Conor won in 12 seconds. I know this because I was trying to video the fight. And when you're looking through your phone, it's impossible to see anything. And the fight was over before. I was like, what just happened? Like, you know what I mean? I was with my friend Rick and I was like, what the hell is going on? And the arena in Vegas was so filled with Irish people. It was so fun. I mean, and maybe I'll be honest. That statement actually makes sense. That's one of the things that made me a fan was that I have a lot of admiration for somebody that like inspires a country. Cause I don't, you don't like, right? Like I'm in Vegas and everybody's doing whatever they're chanting those soccer chants. And I'm like,
well, this is the perfect comeback because when I'm at so I'm watching the Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor fight and everybody is ole, during the first round. Right. And then it goes into the second round. Ole. And then he gets stuck a couple times. And then as it's going to the rear naked choke, and Nate is like, because he'd sprawled out on him. Conor had gotten tagged. He shot in for a double. And I think it was the third round. Now that I think about it, he shot in on actually it was like a shitty single leg that he kind of shot in on. And then Nate sprawled out on him, peppered him a couple times. He sort of turned away. And as he's going to the rear naked choke, everybody in the place is silent because everybody was there for Conor. Yeah. And then, of course, me being the asshole and kind of like a little combative at this point, I go, ole, kind of mocking them. So that was my favorite Conor McGregor moment.
Don't forget that interview was epic because he was like, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers. Right. The most epic statement in the history. Right? Like when you look back and they play that, it was so really literally iconic. Right. But again, me being me, I guess I'm like, this guy, he jumped up in weight and he's fighting everybody. Like, yeah, he lost, but like everybody else is not putting their mouth where their ass is, right? And he did. Like, it's weird because like you again, like Brock Lesnar is the prime example. I do not like bullies. I don't like people that run their mouth, but for some reason, I guess if I know it's kind of somewhat an act, I like it. Like, I was not a Floyd Mayweather fan for whatever reason, and he's very similar, right? But like, and I'm still not. I don't like the guy, but I guess it's because like when the fight happens, it's not that exciting. Like if you're a fan of defensive boxing and he's one of the best boxers ever, like for real, he never gets hit. But that's cool. Like I'm not into watching that. I'm not watching the Super Bowl to watch a good defensive matchup. I'm watching the Super Bowl to see like a 50 to 55 matchup, right? Like that's what I want. I want to watch Conor McGregor knock somebody out. Like that's why I was happy when Floyd Mayweather knocked him. Like I was like, first of all, for you guys are watching this fight, you don't understand that Floyd Mayweather is carrying him to these other rounds. Like whether it's he's like just trying to wear him out because he's actually worried, or he's trying to make this actually a good pay-per-view. Whatever the reason is, he's 100% carrying him. But we're talking about a guy that's never fought boxing in the history of his life, and he's fighting one of the best all time. So it was a semi entertaining fight for what it was. Didn't think he was gonna, but that's the other point. Like it was cool. Like I tuned in even for that, and I guess that's what like why I'm like I respect the guy, because I'm like, if he makes me watch that fight where I know he's gonna lose, and I'm still like, I should probably watch. And on top of that, he actually did land some power punch. He landed a good uppercut, landed something. I'm like, I left that fight being so impressed, not because I was like, it was also a weird fight, right? Because it was like, if you're a boxing fan, it was almost like boxing versus MMA. And it was like reading the internet was getting on my nerves because they're like, boxing's the best. I'm like, no, it's a boxing fight, right? Like if we fought MMA, like the guy would die, right?
Everybody that I talked to about it, they said, "Oh, this just shows you how good boxing is." I said, if you would let him have 2 kicks per round,
it would change everything, right?
it's a different fight. It's a completely different fight.
But
Even just 2 kicks. I'm not even saying let him kick the whole round. Let him have 2 kicks per round.
Yeah. And it's funny because it wasn't that fight, but for other reasons, I've had people attack me on the internet. Like I wrote, I've shared memes that said like the ground is my ocean, right? And meaning jujitsu. And I've had boxers fucking attack me, which I'm like, this is the worst argument because you're not on the ground, right? Because they'd be like, we'll go to the feet and I'll fuck you up. And I was like, that's literally what this statement fucking says. It says the ground is my ocean. Like, what are we talking about? And I was like, on top of that, I'm a fucking Golden Gloves boxer. That's how I started. I box. Like, why are you arguing with me? Right. So like, that's kind of the point of that thing. I was like, you're right. Boxing's the shit. This guy just fought one of the world's best boxers of all time and never had a boxing fight. If anything, you should be embarrassed, not be bragging like you're bragging. You should be like, I can't believe that guy went that many rounds with blah, blah, blah. However, instead of me saying that, I'm saying, I think Floyd carried him all those rounds and he probably couldn't have, but the guy was trying to make it entertaining, which he did. And like, I'm in the middle, which is where everybody should be. This is not a boxing versus MMA. It's just funny because like that is, stupid because
I just think it was funny. What was funny for me was like how short memory is, because everybody forgot that Randy Couture fought James Toney
in less than a minute.
It was like it was the first round, and everybody forgot James Toney was one of the greatest.
Yes, one of the best in history. Just like Floyd. He had the same inside Philly shell that Floyd had. That's amazing, right? So they forgot about that. And then on top of that, and I'm not getting that argument, but Vitor Belfort just beat Evander Holyfield. Now, listen, Evander Holyfield's like fucking 60 years old, right? And it is what it is. And Anderson Silva just beat Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in a match that, like, I didn't think he'd win. So in my opinion, if you're going to talk like who won, MMA is still winning this battle, like 100%. Now, that being said, Ray Mercer, toasted Tim Sylvia. Listen, like it doesn't matter. It should not be MMA versus boxing. Like if I do your discipline and it's competitive, you should be like, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, because people don't understand, like when I'm a boxer again, but when I do MMA or I'm doing whatever, my hands are down by my boobs because I'm afraid you're going to take me down. Right. Like I'm not boxing and it's hard to get used to it. Like my boxing skill, like for example, I've sparred. So I started as a boxer and I won the Golden Gloves. I was nothing special, but I did pretty good. And I boxed with some guys that won K1 and, again, my friend George, like, so I wasn't terrible, but I wasn't good. But when I box now, I get the shit beat out of me, and the reason is I'm not in that world anymore. Like I don't know the movement. I don't know the hand place. My hands aren't where they're supposed to be. Like I'm in the MMA world. That's where I've been for 20 years. And so like it sucks. Like listen, like when I spar with somebody that's an average boxer and he beats the shit out of me, it hurts. It sucks. But I'm also like, that's what makes me feel good. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not doing that. That's all that they're doing. If they come and do jujitsu, like I obviously win. I mean, it's not like it is what it is, right? Like, and the same reason I don't talk shit about them. I don't say, well, just come to jujitsu and I'll kill you. Well, duh, they don't do jujitsu. That's how you should be with boxing. Like you
What-
shouldn't be like, well, you suck. Well, no shit. I don't do boxing. Like,
For
right?
me, like I think about, do you remember in the late 80s where they started having the wide world of sports stuff?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
then they would have on like, I don't know, 6 or 7 different athletes from different sports, and they would have like a competition of these athletes, and so it would be like, I, I don't know that any of these guys were in it, but it would be like Larry Bird and Warren Moon
Yeah.
and and Jose Canseco, and like all these guys would get together, and then they would have a swimming contest,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
right? And so you got a baseball player, a basketball player, a football player, and they're all doing something. That's what I think that is. It's wide world of sports.
Yeah.
And it's not, I'm not trying to take anything away from Conor McGregor, and I'm not trying to take anything away from Floyd Mayweather, but when those guys fight, it's wide world of sports. One guy is not supposed to be there. That's not what he does. And anytime you're comparing apples to oranges, and that's not, it's not fair. And this is from a guy who hates Conor's style. It's
Yeah.
not fair to Conor to judge him for getting beat by Floyd Mayweather. It's just not fair.
Well, let's think of another one. I don't know if you remember this, but do you remember Joe's versus Pros?
Yes.
That was a good one. And they
Yeah.
had Randy Couture go with some people, and they also had Bob Sapp go with some people. So for anybody that doesn't know what that means, that just means like all the people that talk shit. I guess that was the point of the competition, right? Like if
I'm
you're like,
refilling, but I can hear you, boss.
yeah. So I guess if you're like, I can't believe that guy dropped that pass, or because I would have did better. I can't believe this guy did this. I can't do that. So they would basically get you together and they put you against pros, and they would have a series of events and see how you did. And most of the time, the quote unquote Joes kind of got their ass kicked, right? But they had a couple where they had Randy Couture grapple with, because they couldn't have like MMA or whatever, but they had Randy Couture grapple with people and they had to survive a certain amount of time and he would try to submit them. And we all know that Randy Couture is not like what we call a jiu-jitsu expert. However, which is funny because that's what we all think, but he went with like Jacare and had like a 30-minute crusher, no time limit, like no winner draw match, and a bunch of people that were experts. But so he is good. But they also had like one, I remember with Bob Sapp, and I think they had to either just last or stay in the ring with him. And he could just push you out of the ring, like under the ropes, which was hard to do because you could hold the ropes and do all this stuff, or just like beat you up. And these guys would kill you, right? And it's funny because like, which also reminds me, like we just had Jake Shields in, for a seminar, but he was talking about, and I forgot about it, but he's posted a couple of videos since then, but he was on Bully Beatdown, which was a great show where they had a bully that beat people up, and they would call into MTV, and then MTV would have a professional fighter basically beat the bully up, which is hilarious. I don't remember the exact rules, but I think they would have just a jiu-jitsu round, and maybe you had to survive and not get tapped, but it was like basically like you were winning money the longer you survived, right? And then I think some of it was like sparring, which was odd because like we didn't know the rules at the time. We just thought it was regular sparring, but it turns out that the pros had actually limited, they weren't allowed to head kick and they weren't allowed to do other things, which we didn't know. Only reason I remember we found out is because somebody head kicked somebody because he got like rocked, and then he ended up like head kicking and knocking somebody out, and they're like, well, that was illegal. But again, another fantastic show, which I think would be amazing now if they brought it out, but of course times have changed and things can't happen. But anyway, it showed the superiority of a well-rounded fighter versus a one.
Actually, what happened was the downfall of that bully beatdown show. And somebody just one of my coworkers was talking about this the other day, and I guess what was happening after they had started it, you get into the later seasons, amateur MMA fighters would be like, hey man, let's go. He would get a friend and say, hey, let's call MTV.
Yeah.
And then I can get in there with, whoever was the guy at the time, maybe, not Nate Diaz, but Mayhem Miller or somebody, I can get in there and get some rounds. And so now you have these amateur MMA guys that are on bully beatdown, and they're thinking like, hey, if I can do pretty good here, maybe I can get noticed by, a promotion or something. And that was the demise of that show was they had amateur guys faking these feuds, he was the bully. Yeah. That way he could get in the cage, and if he gets lucky and he tags Dominic Cruz or whoever's in there with him that day, and I can put this on my highlight reel now and tell everybody that I tagged Dominic Cruz on bully beatdown. I'm ready for this shit.
Yeah, and I think, and Jake just posted a video, and I could be wrong about this, but he just posted a video where one of the quote unquote, just like you said, bullies was a guy, and he beat the guy. But I think, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure the bully is now a famous guy, and he's famous because he was in a lot of the Eddie Bravo videos as like, I forget, he played like a heel, but he was like a jiu-jitsu black belt, and he'd come in and talk shit. Like his name was Rafael something, but so you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Rafael Orange.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah.
So that was the guy that Jake Shields fought as a bully. And so he was like, and then he even kind of wrote it. He said, here's, me against this guy, back when he wrote something kind of funny. But so that's probably what that was. And that was the guy, like for guys who don't know what I'm talking, I barely remember what I'm talking about. That guy did like some interviews with like Ronda Rousey and stuff like that. And he would just be like a douchebag, right? Like he plays a character, right? Like,
yeah. So he does. Okay. So he does this kind of like almost Zach Galifianakis between two ferns kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Where it's a kind of sort of semi-scripted. And his side of it, or I guess it's almost more like Borat, where like one side knows it's a joke and the other side doesn't. Yeah. And so he would go around and he would talk to people. He almost got into a fight with I think it was Nick Diaz. Really? Or Nate Diaz, because they were at a thing, and he would call out to Nate, and Nate was like, I'm not playing. Like I will fuck you up. We're not playing.
Yeah. Well, the guy's a legend, right? So, and that's the point. I had kind of forgot about him until like Jake posted that video, and then he said something about him enough to where I was like, well, who is this guy? And I looked him up, and I was like, that's the guy. Like, where I had seen a video, like a bunch of videos too, and I didn't know if they were real or fake, right? Or where he played like a heel, and it was a douchebag, and he came in and like said some stuff to like they'd always act like he was interviewing somebody kind of, but then he would act like a douchebag, right? And be like, what, I don't even remember, but it was funny. and those haven't been out for a while. So that was, the guys have been around for a while. So I would say that you're exactly right. Like he was probably in that realm, because I think he's a legit Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, right? So I think
I believe now he is. I know at the time, because he did a thing where, and Joe Rogan knew he was part of it because he trained with Eddie Bravo. But he did a thing where he kind of like confronted Joe Rogan in a hallway, but it was sort of somewhat semi-scripted. And at that time, I think he was a purple belt. And this is like 7 or 8 years ago. But that same guy was also, he was a soap opera actor.
really like
Yeah,
it,
like daytime, like yeah, General Hospital and Days of Our Lives. He was on one of those or something.
that's hilarious, huh?
So,
Well, that's good
which
shit.
which brings us to what we had talked about beforehand, and we still need to talk about why you don't have a car.
Yeah. Well,
But we'll
that's
come back to that. We'll come back to that because we're talking about like guys that I don't particularly like their attitude in the ring or outside of the ring. Uh,
so were they in soap operas or no? There's kind of soap opera people.
well, there's that. There's soap opera, but jujitsu
Yeah.
does it weed out assholes?
Well, two things. Yeah. So jujitsu doesn't weed out assholes. And then the other thing I wanted to say is two subjects, right? So that's number one. But number two is and we'll get to both of these. What do you do? Okay, what if I run a gym and somebody leaves my gym to go to another gym and then they want to come back? Something like that, right? But let's talk about that. So here's what I think. Does jujitsu weed out assholes? I think 100% it's upon where they're at and who is the quote unquote leader, right? This is what I've always said from the history of, so for example, let me give you like a little rundown of myself. When I came to West Virginia, I moved here from Cleveland, Ohio in 95-ish, something like 95, 96. But anyway, I decided I wanted to do jujitsu. Go watch the UFC. So I wanted to do jujitsu, right? And at that time, West Virginia is always 5 to 10 years behind everybody. I don't, I'm not being offensive. It's just true. They just seem like they're 5 or 10 years behind. So there's no jujitsu here, which is not that crazy of a statement because jujitsu and the UFC just came out in 1993. So obviously, the guys that know jiu-jitsu, meaning Royce Gracie, the Gracie family, and the Brazilians, are not beating down the door to come to West Virginia. They're coming to California and Florida and the coastal cities, right? So again, not a bad thing. But I come here and I'm trying. I go to gyms that do Japanese jiu-jitsu, right? So they say they're trying to live off the legacy of the UFC and say they do jiu-jitsu, but what they do is not that. It's kind of a karate mixed with very brief, like anybody that's done Japanese jiu-jitsu knows what I'm talking about. And again, not talking shit. I'm a black belt in Japanese jiu-jitsu. They're just different, right? They're not the same. But the point is, that's what I saw and that's what I was around. So those guys had a reputation here in Charleston, West Virginia of going to bars and beating people up. And almost, I used to joke around at that time in 1997, 98, that they were the bad karate kid, which, now doesn't have as much sting because everybody likes Johnny Lawrence from Karate Kid, right? But at the time it was, funny put down. But anyway, like that's what they were. And the reason is that it came from the top down. So if your top person was a dickhead, all of his students were dickheads. So these were the people, like he thought it was cool. I'll go to a bar and beat up a drunk guy, and then word will spread that we're badasses, and then everybody will jump, join our gym. And that's literally what they did. They were at bars every weekend beating the shit out of drunk imbeciles that didn't know how to fight. And so when I moved here, like I was nobody, and I'm still saying I'm nobody, but that's all I heard of. Like if I said jujitsu, then they would say, "Do you know this person?" And I'm like I've heard of them, but that has nothing to do with jujitsu. Like we're talking about Royce Gracie, right? Like that's who was, and they were like, "Oh, this guy, they go to bars and they beat the fuck out of people, and this guy's a legend, and blah blah." And that's all I heard about. Or this guy won 6 jiu-jitsu world championships, and I'm like, but he didn't, because that's not jujitsu. Like we're talking about karate. Like this is karate. These guys are riding the coattails of Hoist Gracie and the UFC to try to get your attention. Not only that, but these same people would write letters in Black Belt magazine, which is a big thing in the late 90s, as a karate magazine, but they write letters challenging Hoist Gracie to a fight, knowing that Hoist Gracie is never going to see this, and also doesn't give a shit about somebody in West Virginia. And they'd be like, I put an open challenge to Hoist Gracie and he didn't accept. I'm the world's badass motherfucker, right? Literally, I'm not even joking. This is the exact statements, right? So this is where I came from and what I had to endure, and what ultimately, honestly, I actually joined that, knowing all this because there's no other option, right? So going back to what you originally said, does it weed out the dickheads? Not if that's who starts the gym, right? It weeds out the dickheads if the guy that runs the gym is a good guy and the guys that are in the gym are good guys. It's going to weed them out for sure, because they're not going to last. That's like, no asshole can coexist with 10 good guys, because eventually those 10 good guys are going to be like, man, why are you acting like that, man? Like, you see the vibe here? Like, we don't do that. But if you start a gym and you're all assholes and you're going to bars and fighting, then everybody in your gym is going to be an asshole, right? So I think that's what we're finding out in some places that, am I right?
But I think, here's what I think. I think you can be low-key shitty,
yeah,
and still have decent people under you.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what I think.
Because I could be
think
shitty and not know it.
I don't think you're low-key shitty.
I could be.
You could be. Hey, here's what I can say. Low key. Well, here's what I can say is, like, I think by now that would have filtered out enough that I would have seen some of it. I know too many of your guys who have said too many good things about how you've treated them when you didn't have to treat them good. And I know how you've treated me when you didn't have to treat me good. To tell me who you are.
Hopefully. Yeah, no, I agree. Hopefully. I mean, I think that's why we're all friends, right? So we think, it's not to say that something doesn't occur, right? Because it does happen. You can be friends with somebody 5 or 10 years and all of a sudden you're like, I didn't know this person did this. Oh shit, right? Like, it does happen, right? But that's why I am joking, but I am kind of serious, right? Like, hopefully I'm not that person, like, and hopefully you're not, but obviously we don't think we're, but yeah, anyway, fine with your
well, and that's the thing. I've like, I know people who have exploited their students,
yeah,
and really kind of like sucked as much out of the students as they could without really any kind of appreciation or showing of appreciation to those students. And but stayed just nice enough that they're not considered like a dickhead. Does that make sense?
What does? So let's say, I use this example a lot. If I've never experienced another gym and I start a gym and this guy's sucking everything out of me, but I don't know any different, I think that's how martial arts is, right? Like, right. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many times I've met a lot of traditional martial arts guys, and I'm not shitting on them, but I think a lot of times more traditional martial arts guys got a bad stigma, and you're going to run into more because there's more of it. For example, I've met 2 or 3 people that I said, hey, how are you doing? And such and such, their name. And they say, call me master. And I'm like, you ain't my fucking master. Like, I don't even know you. Like, I'm not your student, like, that's a douchebag thing to say. Right. And, other things like that. And you got away with it more. But I think if I didn't know any different, I would think that was good. So for example, then when I brought up that story earlier, I didn't have nowhere to train when I moved here in West Virginia in 1996, 97, 98, 95. But I was still somewhat smart enough to know, like, there's something wrong with these people, right? For example, I'll give you a couple of stories. For example, they begged me to do a belt test. And I was like, no, because I'm not part of your team. I'm rolling. Like, I was up front from the get-go. I was like, hey, like, I'm working out with you and I'm rolling with you because you're the only guys that roll in a gi. and there's nobody else that does what I want to do. There's no hoist Gracie, whatever. And so I was up front, but they were just kept pressuring me like, no, you need to rank under us. And I was like, oh, look, I don't want to, man. Like, so we'd argue about it. And so anyway, they had a ranking test coming up and they're like begging me to go. And I said no, but like I was part of this gym. So 2 or 3 people that were my good friends at the gym went, right? And they're like, same thing. They're like asked me to go. And I was glad I had the forethought to not go. But I was like, no, just tell me how it goes. So apparently what they would do is lock the door. So like if let's say me and you were going and your wife wanted to go, or your friend, they would say, no, like, you can't come in. It's a closed door session. And why they would say that is because they literally beat the dog shit out of you. And they tried to make you subservient because they were lesser humans, meaning that if I have insecurity and I know that maybe you could beat me up, if I torture you and make you hurt and do things to shame you in front of everybody else, you're less likely to try me. Does that make sense? So like, for example, my friends, they were pretty good at jiu-jitsu because that's what we did. Like outside of class, we would go and work out in my basement. We'd watch, remember that I had a Henzo Gracie, Tony Kukoc, I think, VHS tapes, A to Z, and a bunch of other things. So we were like better than them at jiu-jitsu because we had these tapes, right? And they did Japanese jiu-jitsu, but they did a lot of striking, So anyway, they go and my friend, they're striking with him. And my friend was like, he had brain damage too. He got run over by a cement truck, literally was in a coma for like several months. So when he goes, he's like, first of all, like they would line up and he goes, well, let me tell you first, he goes, I don't spar, I just do jiu-jitsu and I've got brain damage. And my arm doesn't even straighten out fully because, it got broken in this car wreck and it only goes like 45 degrees. So just take it easy on me, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, okay. So the bell rings. First thing one of the guys does is throw an axe kick and try to hit him in his fucking brain that he has brain damage in, right? Like try to kill him because that's their point, right? And so he, not even really being that good, he was a white belt going for his yellow belt, which I would have been going for too, would take the guy down and just like lay on him. So the round would end. And they were getting so frustrated because they couldn't get up and they couldn't like beat his ass, right? So then he goes with the head instructor, does the same thing, tells the same guy, he's like, hey man, just take it easy on me. Like, I've got brain damage, I want to get hit in the face. So the guy tries to kill him, right? So he immediately takes the guy down, just holds him down to the end of the round. So the guy says, hey man, let me, that's the round. He goes, let me help you up. So he reaches his hand out, the other guy does. As my friend reaches his hand out, he grabs his hand, twists his fingers, tries to break his hand, and says, don't ever fucking test yourself against me. I'll kill you, right? What I mean? So the whole point was to scare these guys to death so they would be so subservient, they would never test themselves against guys that my friend's a white belt and he's holding his own. If it's a real fight, he's holding them down. Now he's not beating them. I'm not trying to pretend. He's holding them down, right? They're the ones that it's basically like a gang and they're trying to kick his ass. But
like the whole grab the fingers thing, this is after the fact and it's by surprise.
Yes, it's a whole surprise, and so they call me, that, and they're like, thank God you didn't go to this. Let me tell you what happened. So they tell me all these stories and I'm like, dude, like what are you going to do? Cause I was like, and again, I was still part of this gym. So what I said is probably not what I was going to do. I was like, if I couldn't beat them up, I'd run them over in my car. Like that's not acceptable, but obviously I didn't do that either. But that's how we eventually broke away because I was like, and it wasn't a plan. Like we're just doing jujitsu and I was doing jujitsu with him and I was trying to be as respectful as I could be, even though I was like, I'm not going to rank with you. Like we're trying to work out and like, we'll try to make each other better. But eventually like guys were like, I remember this guy called me and this is not a joke. And I remember like, he was older than me at the time. I was probably, 18, 19. He was probably 20 to 30, fireman. But he called me and he was literally almost crying on the phone. He's like, I don't think I'm going to go back, man. And I was like, well, what's up? And he's like, told me the same kind of story, like where they try to hurt him and try to kill him. He's like, I'm just trying to provide for my family and try to be better. And these guys are trying to hurt me. Like, what do you think? And I was like, that was the day that we decided, like I wasn't trying to do anything bad. I was like, hey man, you know what? Like we're already kind of working out in my basement. Why don't we just do that? And like not pay money to people that are trying to hurt us. And then then all of a sudden I had like half their class left with me. It wasn't a plan. I tried my hardest, right, to not be an asshole, because that was, I mean, I didn't want to like poach somebody's students. I was like, hey, let's, do this. And of course, I didn't want to run a gym. That was never in my plan. I wanted to learn, right? And these guys wear gi, and there's nobody else. And but ultimately, like the point was, to the original thing is that they were all douchebags, right? And it came from the top down, and it took somebody like me to be the right spot, the right time, where I was like, hey, why are we being treated like this? Like, we don't have to do this. And then people are like, you're right. Then that's how like my whole thing started. Like, we had 2 guys and 3 guys and 4 guys. Then we had so many guys that I couldn't fit them in my garage. And then we moved to my basement, and I couldn't fit them in the basement. And then we started a gym, but none of it was even against even that. Like, we were never like, let's start a gym and fuck those guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was still never the point. Like, it was like, that's just not what we are. Like, if you want to go to that gym, that's cool. But like, that's not what I signed up for. Like, I signed up to do jujitsu like Royce Gracie's doing. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to like axe kick somebody. Like, that's also not jujitsu. Like, unfortunately, that's what you do. And that's what you call jujitsu, but that's not what I do, what I want to do. Right.
Well, and so my experience is somewhat and it's really more personality than it is like bullying. It's more almost kind of mean girly, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Mean Girls? Like, it's more of that, where it was just like 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 a superiority complex or something. Whereas, so I've trained with a lot of, I've trained with a lot of people. Thankfully, some of those people were Gracies. And anytime that any of the Gracies that I've met, it was never, you have to call me master, you have to call me such and such. Hey, I'm your friend. Shake hands. Hey, brother, how are you? Hugs. It was never bowing or anything like that. Now, maybe it was different with Hoist. Maybe you had a different experience with Hoist. But
No.
of the Gracies that I've trained with, it was always just like, shake hands. We're here. This is a shared experience. And yeah, I'm a Gracie. I happen to know more than you, but let's share this time on the mat. And I'm going to try and teach you something. But then people who trained under the Gracies got into this. It was never a thing before where it was a bowing, call me master, I'm your sensei, any of that stuff. And then all of a sudden, I've seen guys like where it became like, you have to bow to me. And now we turn and we bow to dead people on the wall. And it was just like that. How does that happen? How does that culture happen? Where
Yeah.
it's like, where we weren't, the guy who is instructing you comes in, and when he does a seminar, it's shaking hands and hugs and nobody bows. And I'm just Gary, or whoever's teaching the seminar. I'm just Gary. And then like one of my students going off and being like, you must bow to me. You
Yeah.
must bow to the pictures on the wall.
Well, it doesn't make sense, right? And that's the thing. Like, I would be a good example, right? Because that's funny. Like, Helson is and I know you come from a Helson place, but he was like the bad child of the Gracies, right? If you read any of the books, right, he was kind of the rebel, right? But I came from Hoist, right? That was, I wouldn't say the good child by any means, but he definitely, like, he's the one that brought us the UFC, and he was put there for a reason. And whatever the stories go, they changed. But I would tell you this, that there came a point I trained with Hoist until probably 2004 or 2005. Went to purple belt and did really well, but that's when you didn't change places, right? You were a creonche, right? A trader, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because at the same time, there was this story going around, which you may or may not remember, but something happened where this guy from, like, let's say Spain or France, ended up going to a seminar and beating, maybe not even beating it. I think he went to a draw with Haben Gracie, who's not a known Gracie. He was just a Gracie that was teaching at a seminar. And I think it was in Spain. But anyway, this guy was an MMA fighter. And that's kind
So
of when you go ahead.
I think that there's a video of this, right?
There is, and that's kind of when like the Gracies had the Gracie challenge, but it was kind of over, right? But it kind of wasn't either because it was like we were beyond that point. But I guess if you still challenged them, they wouldn't say no. You know, I mean, it was kind of that, right? And so anyway, he challenged Hobbin, and they went to like I think that's the funny thing is they went to a draw, and Hobbin's not even like a fighter, right? But then like that's when I was at Hoist, and like Hoist and them were pissed. They're like, we're gonna fuck this guy up. So like Hoist and Hoyler and maybe Henza, I don't remember the people, but they all went to wherever this guy was from, and he was a bouncer at a bar, and they shut the bar down and beat the dog shit out of this guy. And so anyway, that was like right before like I was trying to make my decision, like because my decision came down to this. There was a couple of things happening is the main thing, which was I would wait all year to see Hoist, right? Like all year. And I was paying $150 a month, which is a lot in West Virginia, right? And the thing that didn't make sense for me was originally I did that because I was like, hey, like I want to have the affiliation with the number one guy. And Hoist was the number one guy at the time. There wasn't a lot of affiliations, but like there wasn't a lot of options, right? Like originally I picked that and I picked $150 and I was all in, and it was awesome. And I loved meeting Hoist and I loved training with him and I learned a lot. But eventually I was like, why am I paying $150 a month? There's no competition, right? Like, and I'm dying here. Like I'm not making a lot of money. A lot of times that my gyms would shut down and I was still paying this money. And I was like, well, that part doesn't make sense. And then the other, like if I was looking at my value per money, I was like, well, I'm training me, and Hoist comes once a year and that's it. And when he does come, he teaches strictly self-defense because that's when Elio was making, he knew he's like, hey, I'm in my 90s. This is not why jujitsu was invented. It was a self-defense art. And I want all my sons and my relatives and people in it that get back to the self-defense, right? But as you know, like most of us, like that's not why we were in jujitsu. We were in the jujitsu because the UFC. So I had fighters and I had people that competed, and I was into something different. Like it was just different. And so like doesn't mean they're wrong. They're 100% right. They invented it. But it's like people that were signing up for my gym were signing up because they wanted to compete in tournaments and they wanted to compete in MMA. And I had a big MMA team and a fight team, and we're just on different wavelengths. So I'm like, all right, so if I'm paying $150 a month, that's obviously well over $12,000 for the year or whatever it is. I'm not forgetting like 1,200 or whatever, $100 per month. Um, it's not adding up. So we come in and then I'm like, what, you're actually not even training me. By the time you get here, you're showing me stuff that I don't even really want to learn. Now, again, that being said, everything that Hoist showed me still valuable to this day. But right, like when I'm judging, I've got an MMA fight team. I want to learn that kind of stuff, right? Um, and mainly it was just the part that I just didn't really see him, right? And again, if you look at it on both sides, I could have went to California, but like I'm poor. Like I didn't have money to go to Torrance, California and train with them. So I'm paying $150 a month. Like, what am I getting? Ultimately, I decided, hey man, like it's just not going to work out. I'm going to go on my like zero. I'm going to just because I'm already training myself. I might as well just be zero. And I was scared to death, right? Like scared to death because I'm like, they just went to Spain and beat the fuck out of this guy. And if you're a Crianche, they're going to beat the fuck out of you. You should not be a traitor, right? And I gathered enough courage and whatever, and I said, "Hey, Hoist," and we were pretty good friends. And but how do you know how good friends you are, right? I'm paying $150 a month. How do you actually know? But I told him, and I'll be honest, like he was so nice and so genuine. He said, I completely understand, and you need to do what's best for you. And if I'm not seeing you enough, like they made suggestions. They said, hey, we got a bunch of people in our affiliation that you can meet, but like not really. Like it wasn't realistic because I could have Rodrigo Gracie and or Hoyler, and they're going to cost a bunch of money. It was just, he said like, I wish you the best. And he was cool as fuck. Never said another word to this day. Right. I switched, it was by myself for a while, then trying to figure out if I was going to go with somebody and didn't want to pay money, and then end up with Marcelo, but never one time did he argue or complain. And there's been a few times where I was very close to going to a Hoist Gracie seminar that was close, and I have no reason not, like, it was, the reasons I didn't go were nothing to do with him. I really want to go because I want to see how the interaction was being. I really kind of think it would be positive. Could be wrong. I also think at this point he won't remember me, which is more realistic because it was a long time ago. Um, but the point is that if the guy that we all consider made jujitsu popular and like introduced us to jujitsu, without Hoist Grayson, without his family, we would be nowhere. The fact that he didn't care in an era that everybody cared, it was a known thing. You didn't switch gyms, which obviously now you can do whatever you want, but back then you didn't do it, and he still was cool. Like, I just don't get it, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the godfather of MMA and the godfather of jiu-jitsu, and he was cool. So like when I hear people not being cool, like,
Well, and and
who are
and
you to
that's
do
the
that?
thing, yeah. Like, and and I've had my issue. Obviously, we've all had our ups and downs in jiu-jitsu and with people and just in life with personal relationships. Like sometimes like do you I've got friends that are couples, right?
Yeah.
And they're toxic. I love her and I love him, but them two together are terrible, right? And those two people shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's nothing to say anything about those two people, but it is amazing to me. Like, I don't know, just like you would think that there is a level of adultness about it, that we don't have to like each other, and we don't have to. The separation is not necessary. Even obviously now I'm starting to get a little more personal about this,
Yeah.
and so like this is bleeding in a little bit, but you wish that I wish that all separations like could be like you and Voices, where it was like amicable and like this isn't working for the both of us, and okay, I understand you got to do your thing, I got to do my thing, but there's no hard feelings here,
Yeah.
and it's sad when it doesn't end that.
No, well, and that's a good point. Like, how should it end? So, like, I don't know how many stories you have on a personal level where that's happened to you. I've got a few, right? Like where people, we had a local gym open and I had some guys switch to the gym. And let's just be honest, it hurts your feelings, right? Because it's like, am I inadequate? Did I not do anything? So you have self-doubt, like we just said, like we sit on vacation and, like our vacation, meaning at the house, and tear ourselves apart, right? So I have that self-doubt where like, did I do something wrong? Was I not good enough? Then you also have the kind of the anger part where you're like, I did so much for you. I did this, I did that. And sometimes that can take over, right? And then you could ride that wave and be like, well, fuck that guy. I did this for that. And he didn't appreciate it. And and I've been there, right? But here's what I think happens, because I've been there and I'll be honest, right? Like sometimes you don't get over those feelings, right? Like meaning that somebody switches and I think I did this and I did that for that person. They didn't appreciate it, right? But I would say that I also realize like they don't need to. Like the way I think is not the way everybody else thinks, right? That's the sad fact of life. Like just because I think I did something for you, you don't have to think that way, right? It could be you could be like, yeah, they did, but they introduced me to this and I did all this work and I did this. And then you really think, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. So here's what I think. What I've done in the past is it's okay to be a little angry in yourself, right? But the ultimate thing is we're just people trying to be better, right? Like if we were just lifting weights, would any of us care? Right? If I was like, I started that motherfucker lifting weights and he lost 100 pounds and he doesn't thank me, like I'd be a little upset, but I also still be happy you lost 100 pounds and you're in shape. And I mean, jujitsu is just one of those things where you're still like a little angry because it's so personal, right? And so I guess my point, luckily, because I've been through all that stuff and I know Hoist didn't kill me and didn't kick my ass, is I got to be a little compassionate, right? Like, I'm like, well, if he didn't, here's what I got to look at is that, let's say it was you, for example. I could say, were Gary and I ever friends? Okay. Yeah. And he just wanted to train here. Why did he want to train here? What probably wasn't personal. Maybe it's closer to him. Maybe it's cheaper. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. It's maybe not that personal. Or even if it is, like, do I get mad at my other friends because they like my other friends more than me? Like, I don't, right? Like, but jujitsu, so I shouldn't in jujitsu. It's like the thing, like, oh, so you're hanging out with Bob now? What do you think? Bob's cooler than me? Fuck Bob. Right. Like, like it's okay if it hurts your feelings a little bit, but you can be like, that's okay. You're allowed to like Bob. Bob's a good dude. Right. Like, so I think that's what I came to the conclusion with jujitsu and working out. Is like, I'm not in a fucking gang. It's not the Bloods and the Crips. Like, if you want to move on, it's going to hurt my feelings because you're my friend and I gave all I had and it wasn't good enough. And maybe it hurts my feelings because it, like, I'm not, like, I'm self-confident conscious, right? Like, but I gotta be real with that. Like, did they do anything to hurt me individually? No, they're just trying to make themselves better, right? It's a hard conversation to have, right? Because you got to be like, I literally, like, if you left our gym and you said, hey, I'm in North Carolina, I'm doing this, like, the exact same scenario. Let's be honest. Like, it hurts people's feelings, right? But then I'd be like, well, why do you do that? Okay, well, he doesn't ever see me. Like, the same thing with Hoist. Like, well, that's what's best for Gary. I got to be okay with it. It's okay if it still bothers me a little bit, but if Gary was truly my friend and he's going to truly still be my friend, then I've got to be okay with it, right? Like, anyway, it doesn't mean that everybody's that way. Clearly, they're not. We know people that are not, right? Like, but they
Not
should be.
obvious.
That's why we're
Well,
talking about this now. They should be. They really should be. Like,
right. Well, and that really is the thing. It's like, I, I've come to accept that it's a personal journey and not a me and him journey or me and her journey. Whatever the journey is, it's a personal journey that I have to be involved in the growth of me. And that really comes back to the whole, like, me being by myself for a couple of days and like having to think about whatever it is that I'm thinking about. Is that I have to make decisions that I'm okay with and that make me okay with me, and not so much worried about what everybody else is thinking. And all of those things that creep into my head about why I'm such a dickhead or why am I a piece of garbage. It's those are the things that I'm not okay with about myself,
yeah.
and so I guess what, and kind of going back to the Conor McGregor and kind of going back to those are parts of me. I probably like that a little bit,
Yeah.
I probably like the Conor McGregor a little bit. And I probably am a little bit Conor McGregor because I know I like attention. We've talked about like extrovert, introvert, and you not liking. And maybe the reason I don't like him is because he's a better extrovert than me. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh,
that could be it. Is like I see something that I want. I want that attention and I want that. And so maybe that's the part of me that I don't like. And so it's the same thing. All the things I was listening to a podcast the other day that was talking about like you'll get like it was talking about relationships and you'll be with somebody and then after a while you start to notice all the things that you can't stand about them, but really it's not the stuff that you can't stand about them, it's the stuff that you don't want yourself to be.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're pissed off because they're boisterous, but it's because you're boisterous,
Yeah.
and like that's the part of yourself that annoys you, and now you're just projecting it on the other person. And so that could be a huge part of it. And then so it's kind of come full circle, and now I'm a little toasty because I've had a little drink. But yeah.
Well, so then so speaking of, like, obviously everybody handles stuff differently and you know, we've had some stuff where people didn't handle things that we like them to handle, right? But and I don't know what the answer is. Like, how do you handle that? Because, like, I had a
I
good
think it's
experience.
simple. I think you
Yeah.
fight them.
No, and you're right. That's the funny thing. When I was thinking of this, I was thinking like I'm saying all the right things, but when somebody doesn't do what I want them to do, I fucking want to kill them. Right. So that's actually the funny part of the whole situation is like words sound great. And when things go the way that I want them to go, they do go great. Right. But there is the time that I'm like, dude, I've given you every opportunity to be just like me and you're not doing it. So now it's time for me to kill you. Right. Whether I kill them or not. But that's what I think. Right. Like, and by kill them, I might just mean like fight. Right. Like they're going to fight me and either one wins or doesn't win. But like, it is funny because there's a fine line. Like, it's funny that because we are fighters, that's like the weird part of the whole thing is that it doesn't matter how intellectually coherent and smart I think I am. Like as soon as things don't go my way, it reverts back to caveman. Like, let's just fucking fight. Like this is what I do every day.
Well, and the reason is because it's easy.
I know, I know.
Right? If we fight about it, it's easy. Like one of us is gonna win and one of us is gonna lose, and now it's settled. Right? I don't have to think about like, morally and emotionally, was I in the right or was I in the wrong? If we fight about it, then it can just be over. I don't have to quantify all of these emotions and feelings and
Yeah.
whether or not societally it's okay. And if we fight about it, if there's a disagreement, it's a duel, and we take 10 steps away from each other and we turn and we fire or if it's like I challenge you to combat and I slap you with my gauntlet and you slap me back or whatever it is, like that's the easy way of figuring it out.
Which no, that's a good point because that's what we're used to doing, right? That's why there's a hierarchy in our class, and there's a high, what I mean, like we just figure it out, and then we don't have to argue. And you're like, this is the best guy here, and or these are the best two or three guys here, and this is this and this is that. But when we can't do that, you're exactly right. I guess that's why it's so frustrating, right? Because you just want to get it over with, right? Like it's like, dude, let's all right. You don't like me, I don't like you. We've tried to work it out, let's just get it over with, right? And then when the other person won't get it over with, you're like, it is so frustrating, right? Because you're like, I've given you every opportunity to solve it civilly, to solve it caveman-y, everything, and you're just not taking the bait for anything. Yeah, it sucks, man. And there's not a right reason. I guess the point, like I guess us talking about this is look, there's a way to handle this stuff. It doesn't mean that we're going to change anybody's mind. Because we're not, because every day, same shit happens, right? Even in my job, same shit happens, like normal job, not jujitsu, but it just happens. And it sucks. And we have to deal with it. And it's part of being an adult, right? Things don't go your way and you got to kind of figure it out. And part of being an adult is, look, we can get sued for this shit now. If I punch you and you say I knocked your tooth loose, now I want $1 million for my loose tooth, right? Like life sucks. But I guess as my point would be, is like, man, think this stuff, dude. There's so many people. Like, I'll tell you another brief story. I'll keep it as brief as I can, but it's like, like when I first started all this stuff in 90, 95 or 96, I started with some guys that were brothers, and I would say we don't get along now, but they're the ones that taught me. And I still hear some bullshit every now and then. It's funny because that was in 1995 or 96. And every now and then I'll hear it. They'll like, do you know so and so? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, they said they taught you everything you know. And I'm like, whatever. Like I did a million things since whatever that we worked together in 1995. I mean, it's goofy. But at the same time, it's kind of like you and we had this phone conversation before this was, if it comes up, I give those people all the credit in the world. And I said, without them, I wouldn't be on this journey. And there's a lot of bad stuff and there's a lot of good stuff. And I appreciate those guys. And I really do. I honestly do. I swear to God, if those guys are listening, they know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I've not really said that much bad stuff about them. Maybe at that time, because we're arguing and they did a lot worse stuff than I did. But even then, it's like, we're being childish. I think as an adult, I'm like, hey man, like, I'm on this journey to become a better person. Without you guys, I wouldn't be like what I am. That's it. I'm still on the journey every day, right? Like I can still be an asshole and I can still do stupid stuff. And I've done it in the past and I probably did it to them. Like we both did stuff to each other, I'm sure. So I'm not saying they're more blamed to me. Like we're just young and stupid. And couldn't coexist and whatever. And but that's the thing, man. Like ultimately, I'm like, man, now that they're whatever they're doing, good luck to them. Like I'm not rooting for them to fail. Like I don't really care. Like, like we shouldn't be in competition. And even if we are, like, even that's the thing. Like sometimes it occurs, like kind of somewhat are with competition with somebody, like a mild thing, but I don't like care because like I want to be best at everything, but I truly don't like I don't care in the fact that I'm not rooting for somebody. Here's what I guess what helps me. I'm like, I look at people like I look at me. I'm like, I've got a family to feed. I don't want somebody to actually fail at life and, you know, can't feed their family or do whatever it is or be a better person. I really don't. Like I want to be better than that person, but like in a healthy way. That's competition. Like I want to win at a one-on-one basketball game. But it doesn't mean I want you to fail at life, right? So I guess that's the deal. Like for all these people that hold these grudges and do all these things, like I get it. I was there, but man, like we shouldn't be like that. We should all try to help each other, like boost each other up and do the best we can, really,
Yeah, well, and that's my whole thing is like I don't wish any ill will upon anybody, and I've talked about this. Is like even if it's somebody that I don't like, how many truly bad people do I know?
Yeah.
I don't. I There's a lot of people that I don't like to be around, and there are some people that I just don't like. But even of those people that I just don't like, are they bad people or are they just bad people for me? And so like that's one of the things that obviously age makes you a little bit wiser, whatever it is. And like they're bad people in this world, but I think those people are few and far between. As far as the people that I don't like, would I have spent as much time with them as I did if I thought they were a bad person? I don't think that I would. And that's the thing, is like they're not necessarily a bad person. It's just sometimes some people can't be together, and whether it be a relationship where it's a guy and a girl getting together and it's a romantic relationship, or even it's just a friendship. Some people just can't be like, it's not a good friendship. Somebody's going to take more than what they get. And and that's the thing, is like in our relationship, I feel like I'm the taker from you. Like I get a lot from you, and I don't necessarily think that you give too much back, or that I give too much back to you. And I try, and I hope you feel that it's reciprocated. But like, maybe that's one of those things that'd be like, one day maybe you'll come to me and be like, Gary, man, you're kind of weighing on me, dude. You're kind of like, you're draining me a little bit. You're leeching me a little bit. Not, and if that day comes, I'll be crushed, and then I will try and be better. I promise. But
Yeah.
but the relations. It's one of those things where as I get older, I'm coming up on 42 years, and it's like, you would think, I remember thinking that at 19 that I would have life figured out by 30.
Yeah. Well, you
And
always
I'm
think.
and I'm 42 now, and I still don't have shit figured out. I'm still trying to. Now I think I'm a little better at reading people, and I think I'm a little better at getting myself set up in situations that are good for me rather than bad for me. But it's all a work in progress, and it's never ending. And
Yeah.
it's bothersome and kind of delightful all at the same time to learn that, like, that it's a never ending journey.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I wish that I had it all figured out and I was just happy, but you'll never be happy. I think if you're always trying to improve yourself, if you're not, like, I never really watched this movie, but Idiocracy, I guess a lot of people talk about that where they're so dumb they don't even know what's going on, right? Like, but that's the thing. Like, if you're in that realm where you're just so dumb you don't know what's going on, that's great. But I think part of being an intelligent person is you're always like trying to fix things, try to better yourself, trying to improve, right? So we're not the same person as we were yesterday. And anyway, that's the point. And I think that's the thing with friendship. I don't think there's a bad reason, like, like friendships a little bit different, but like relationships, why people cut people off is that, yeah, they do weigh on them sometimes. And you're like, man, I'm doing all this work and you're not doing anything. And like, I feel like this is the point. Like, we're not compatible. We're not this, we're not that. Right. But, you know, luckily, if you're in like-minded people, we're all trying to make each other better. That's what one thing which I like about all of us, which is good, is that I don't think we utilize it enough. I think about this sometimes. I think, and I had this thought a long time ago, I never really followed through with it, but like all of us, especially like people that quote unquote have like affiliations, we should all get together and kind of prop each other up and spread a, share ideals and try to make each other better. And we don't do that. Like I was gonna say, we don't do that enough, but we don't do it, period. Right. I remember making a Facebook post, like a group, and I thought, well, that's what we'll do. We'll kind of put that together and do something. But maybe we should. That's part of making each other better. And that's a lucky thing about us. So don't worry about that. I think that's amazing. But one of the things I'm thinking unbelong to that. So what's your solution? Like, let's say that I give Gary a magic wand and we got somebody that's being a douchebag. How do we fix this? Like, what is the solution to, like, you given all you've given some ideas, you've given some thoughts, but you're still somebody that's kind of grinding on you, being mean to your friends, being whatever. Like, where do we go from there? Like, what do we do? Because I don't know. I honestly don't know. Like us talking, we've got the answers, but how do we make somebody else think the way that we think? I don't know.
I
Right? That sucks,
There
huh?
is, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. It's like it's not up to me.
Yeah.
That's really the problem, is that I want somebody to think the way that I'm thinking, but I can't make somebody think the way that I'm thinking.
No. You
And
really
that
can't.
and that's the problem, right? Like I could wish that somebody could think like me, but then that's just putting me in them, right? Like that, then it's putting my mind in their mind, and then
Yeah.
that now I'm not talking to them anymore. You know, Uh, I'm talking to
No.
myself.
Yeah, and honestly, I tell you what, that's one of the things that changed my life was that. I don't know if they call that empathy or what do they call that, but was no matter how mad I get, if I could stop and think, well, how might they view this issue? Meaning it could even be my wife, right? Like, because I could be mad because she didn't do this and I took it this way and she didn't, you know what I mean? And then I've got this story built up in my head. But if I could take a break and I think, like, she probably didn't think any of those things. She probably just didn't do this because she was busy, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like I could say, like, I could write my wife, I love you, and she don't write it back. I'm just making a thing up, right? So then I'm like, man, she don't love me and she hates me and she's doing this and she's doing that, where she like, maybe she didn't read it, right? And it's like, all by the time we talk, I got this thing built up where I'm just like, inside of her head, she was like, well, duh, no kidding, I'm dealing with 3,000 kids late, I'll try to respond later and blah blah blah, whatever. And then like, but honestly, that's the one thing that if you can really do that, it's not going to make things better. You still get mad, but you can be like, okay, like, because you don't have to agree with the way that people think, right? I've got one perspective and another person has another perspective. It really does help, right? Like, and ultimately, here's the bad thing is, like, we can't ever make them think like we do. We just can't. You just can't. It sucks. You want them to, because that make everything better. Right? Like, and actually, sometimes that's the other thing too. When you finally have that conversation, it's so hard not to say, like, just keep spouting off what you think and what you say. You got to say, well, I can see how you can think it that way, but that's not what happened. But you literally have to just stop, because you can like talk over them and you tell them why they shouldn't think that way. And you got to be like, yeah, it's not right, but I can see that. I can see that. And you just got to keep at that. I can see why you can think that, I'm just telling you, it's not that way. Right. But again, are you going to have these face-to-face conversations or even a phone conversation with that person? Probably not. Right. Like, unless it's that thing. And what, again, I think what we're talking about too, just so like it makes more sense, is like, for example, is like, we talked about this earlier before I got here. What if somebody leaves your gym and goes to another gym and you're pissed, and um so you got stories built up in your head like you're not good enough or whatever the story is, and then you're pissed and you want to see that person fail and you want to see them like come back to you groveling that, hey, I made a bad decision, right? Where the other person was like, I'm just doing this because XYZ. Like maybe I have a difference in a training ability or training perspective, or I have this gym's closer, or me and my friends are going to do something. It has nothing to do personal. But however, they're going to view it personally because you left them, and there could be nothing more personal, right? To them. Man, that's a tough one, right? And that's why we talk about the Hoist situation, where I'm so glad he handled it so eloquently, because he could have thought the same thing. I was like, "What? I'm not good enough. I'm Hoist fucking Gracie. Who are you?" Right? And I would have been like, You're right. Like, I'm sorry, you know what I mean? Like, but he didn't. But not every situation is going to go like my situation went. I'm glad it did, but like when it doesn't, I guess here's what I think people should do, and doesn't mean they're going to listen to me. Is like, just take a look. I've had people, we talked about this already. Like I had people stop and not train with me and do other things. One guy trained with another gym a couple miles away because they're $5 cheaper. So in my mind, I'm like, well, that's bullshit. $5, that's retarded, like, but talking to the guy for real, that $5 meant a lot to him. Like, I think that's asinine. That's my viewpoint. He really did, like, talking to him. It's not BS. I thought it was BS, but it really, like, that $5, like the way he views life, that was like a big deal until it didn't work out. Right. But what I did is I welcomed him back, but I'm clearly still talking about it. So it still bothers me, but we're still like, we're friends. We're doing a thing. And like, that's the difference. Like, I think it's okay to let things bother you. And you could tell somebody, man, I'm not really over that, but you're still my friend. Um, whatever. Again, like I'm pushing my viewpoint on somebody else. It doesn't mean they're going to be there, but I think it's good talk. And maybe like other people listen to this and they're like, yeah, maybe I don't need to act like that. Right. Cause I think knowing you and what we've talked about, like not on here, is that you appreciate everybody, right? And you thank everybody. And I've heard it with my own ears. Like, it's nothing's vindictive with anybody. That's probably why it hurts so much, is that you're like, dude, I'm out in public like thanking you and I don't have to. And meanwhile, you're trashing me and doing things that hurt me. That's what makes you want to fight somebody, is because you're like, I'm doing everything I should do. Like, now you're taking advantage of my good nature, right? That's my tipping point, is if I say I'm sorry and I do this and I do that, and then you still be an asshole, I'm like, okay, now it's over, because you just took advantage of my good nature. Right? Like, now, but that's probably your viewpoint, I guess, right? It's just not good. Like, you don't need to be like that.
Yeah. Well, and for me, that's the thing. Is like I do recognize that any interactions that I have, that when I recant them, it's from my perspective. I
Yeah.
recognize that. And I can only give you my perspective because I'm kind of blinded by it,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely.
And I will always say that any story that I ever tell you, like, it is my side of the story. It is not the story. And I can only like it's there's a lot of people talking about their truth, right?
I
Like,
hate
this
that phrase.
is my truth. And
Yeah.
so when somebody says that, like, I get it, I understand. And also I understand another person's truth, and that somewhere the real truth lies in the middle,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, anybody who hears, if I have a disagreement with somebody, if you hear my story, know that it's my side of the story. Now, I might be 100% factual, but I'm also going to tell you in the most convincing way that you should come with me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And the person that it's against might also give you a story that is 100% factual, and they're going to give you a reason or make you feel like you should come with them.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to figure that out for themselves. And I honestly, I like any disputes. Like, I I don't care if you agree with them or if you agree with me. I want it to be done with and over with. And really, a lot of that stuff, I just want it to be put behind in the past. And I think there's always a way forward for people. We don't have to like each other. Kind of like going back to what I said earlier, is like, I don't think, even if it's somebody that I don't like, of all the people that I've met in my life, I would really, really, really have to search for the bad people,
Yeah.
you know? And that's thousands and thousands of people that I've met in my life. And I would really have to search for the bad. I think most people, maybe they got shitty attitudes. Maybe they're not people that I want to hang out with. But I think almost all people are good people. And I think that's something this is something that I kind of want to leave with tonight, is that regardless of how we feel about that person or this person and what our past experiences with that person, I really truly believe that people are good. And I think you really, it's easy to talk about the bad people and make it to seem like it's a bigger thing than what it really is, because it's what sells, whether it be in news or whatever. It's easy to talk about that and make it bigger than what it really is. But truly, I think most people, if they look around themselves, the people that they interact with, the people that you hang out with are good people. The people outside of the people you hang out with are usually pretty good people. And even outside of that, it's hard to find truly bad people, and so I hope that people take that from this more than anything, is that, like, whatever it is, we should be able to get over this, because most of us are good people.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. There's no reason to fight over stuff that doesn't matter too. I mean, that's the other thing. I think, you know, whoever listens to this and doesn't like me or doesn't like you, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, right. And it literally is. It sucks. I want everybody to like me, right? Because I think I'm a good person, but they're not going to, right? They're just not. It sucks. It honestly hurts my feelings when somebody don't like me. Like, not because I'm trying to be something special. I'm just like, what did I do wrong? Right. Like, I don't feel like I'm a bad person, but that's the hardest part to live with, is that there's just going to be some people that just don't like you, like for no reason, apparently. Like, you know what I mean? Like it. And unfortunately, I think of me, like I've run into people and I, like, immediately without even meeting them, I'm like, I don't like that person. So like I know from experience it happens, like they just give off a vibe, right? It happens, and then it's not fair. Um, but I guess when we're being adults, man, we gotta fix that stuff, right? Like, especially if we're talking just jujitsu, MMA, whatever we do as a gym. Um, man, like, man, you got not take this stuff so serious. Like nobody's trying to take food off your table per se, right? That's the other thing. We're just trying to make each other better. Um, I'm here in Charleston. I've got some gyms right across the road. I've got, literally a couple gyms just down there. There's enough room for everybody. There really is. As a younger man, all that stuff would get on my nerves, right? But ultimately, people are going to pick like who they want to go to. Like it is what it is. It's not a competition. Like it is and it isn't. It doesn't mean I need to dislike the other people. They're still trying to do what like I want to do. And that's the other, like, if we're all trying to make each other better, like at least I do. Like I try to make each other, like whoever walks in my gym, I try to make them better. And I want to be their friend. Now, here's the other side of the coin. If the other gym doesn't want to do that, I cannot like them for that, but I probably shouldn't batch them for, like, let everybody else decide that for themselves, right? Like if I'm like, well, that person don't really give a shit about anybody. Like, man, I know a ton of places like that. I really do. But it's not my job to like tell those people. And you know what I mean? Like if you're, I used to be like this, and I almost said it again, but like if you're dumb enough to go there, then that's your problem. I really don't mean it that way, but like that's kind of what I mean. Like if you don't realize those things, like I know some god awful trainers that pretend they know boxing. They've never done anything in their life. They don't even know what they're doing. People love them. Like that's not my problem. I used to act like that's not my problem. Like, okay, if that's what you like, I should never say nothing bad about that person. Like it shouldn't.
Right.
It also looks bad on you. Like it really
It's
does.
Listen, hey, it's okay to bow to dead people on the wall and drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
It's
Just not
okay.
my thing. Yeah.
It's not my thing. If it's your thing, that's cool.
And it's gonna be somebody's thing, right? Like people join cults for God's sakes, right? It's gonna be somebody's thing.
Speaking of which, I got the Butch Hiles brand. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah.
Sweet.
I-
Yeah. I
Not
like
quite
that.
yet. Not quite
Yeah.
yet. I'm not there yet.
I'm not even there yet. I just had somebody offer me a free one the other day, and I'm like, man, like not even I can do that. Like I don't know. But I also only have like a letter L on my whole body. So like, I'm not the
Yeah,
best, you know,
we we
but
got we got to get you tatted up.
yeah, yeah,
It's time. It's time to close it out, brother. It's 11:17. I know you're a bachelor this week, so we
yeah.
didn't even hold up. We didn't even get to why your car is out of order.
Oh, well, it's okay. Well, we'll end with that. It's not the greatest story now. Like it's not the greatest crescendo, but since I haven't told you, so it was like a couple weeks ago. It was raining, terrible rain, crazy. As usual, my job involves me going to hospital, a lot of appointments. So, was I rushing? Maybe, like, probably not. Like, I can't think of anything I really did wrong. I guess. I mean, I was going speed limit or under. Well, anyway,
For any
raining.
authorities listening, he was definitely going the speed limit or under.
Yeah, when it's really true. That's when I think back. I didn't do anything wrong. Plus, like cars nowadays have traction control, all this. But anyway, so I'm just going down, and then my car hydroplanes instantly, and there's no lapse in between. So hydroplanes go straight into the median, crashed into the median, big cement wall, careen off that cement wall. There's two semis near me, so a semi hits me, crushes me, spins me around in a bunch of circles. Um, it's weird because when you're doing all this, it doesn't seem like a lot of time. It kind of does, but it kind of doesn't. But anyway, like I remember I was spinning a circle. I saw a semi coming. I was like, oh shit, oh shit. Like, I mean, there's only, like, I literally thought I was just going to die. Like, there's nothing you can say. I was like, oh shit. And then it hit me, and then I was still alive. So that was cool, obviously. So then I see a bridge coming, which there's nothing underneath. And I was like, oh shit, I'm going to go off this fucking bridge. Like, that's not good. But luckily I hit the wall and didn't fly over the wall. And then, so then finally stopped again. It seemed like a lot, but, so I was facing traffic the wrong way. Everybody else is going 70 miles per hour in the rain. So luckily the thing started back up. I didn't know where I was at, pretty shook up, threw it in reverse, pulled it off the highway. Luckily it drove, but all all six airbags went off. So I will say this, that I was in everybody makes fun of me because I'm in a Subaru Forester, and it doesn't seem like a car that I should drive. But yeah, I'll tell you, like, get hit by a semi, hit two cement walls, not a scratch on me, not at all. And I barely even knew I got hit. Like, I mean, I knew because I was looking around, but I mean, like, I didn't stop and be like, I'm hurt, I'm sore, nothing. I felt fine. I pulled off. Kind of freaked out, don't know what you do at the time, so I called 911. I was like, hey, like, I'm sitting in an accident. Like, they just transfer me to somebody else because they're like, if you're not actually hurt, they don't really care, so they're like, is there injuries? I'm like, well, no, I'm just sitting here. So they call the police, and anyway, so everything's fine. So I don't have a vehicle now, which sucks. So that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. So that was about a week or two ago. So they totaled my car, which I think is hilarious that everybody roots for that because, like, you have to buy another car. Like, why are you
Yeah.
rooting for that? Like, my car was paid off, and now I have to buy another car. And used cars, let alone regular cars, are up in value so much. So, for example, my car was like a 2019 Subaru Forester with over 100,000 miles on it. I got like 19, 20, $21,000 for that. That's stupid. That's retarded, right? But I did. So I got a bunch of money. But however, that also means that other used cars are like skyrocketing. So I'm gonna have to pay out the butt to get another car. So anyway, yeah. So I'm probably gonna get another Subaru because I'm alive. And that was the thing. I also bought a car that I used to not wear my seatbelt. I had a Chevy Impala before that. You didn't have to wear your seatbelt. The thing stopped beeping after a while. So I literally got this car because I was like, I need to wear my seatbelt so that I'm alive for my kids. I need something that's not very fast. Subaru Forester is like a 4-cylinder. So like everything I did, like, probably kept me alive. So I'm glad I made those decisions. But yeah, anyway, I don't have a car right now, and it's terrible. So my good friend at the gym's let me borrow his truck for a while, and I'm thankful for good friends and being alive. So it sounds kind of cliche, kind of crazy, but honestly, like when the police officer came to get me, he was telling me that like 9 out of 10 of those people are dead. He said usually when I get here, and he wasn't trying to scare me because I was already dead. Already done.
You're already
Yeah,
dead inside. Yeah.
yeah, but he said normally what happens is you get T-boned by a semi and get run over, and that's the end. And he's like, the fact that you're still sitting here and you're fine is like, doesn't even make sense. And I literally, I was heading to surgery, so I grabbed everything out of my car and went straight and still did surgery. And anyway, the could be pure luck, could be awesome, could be the car, could be all kinds of cool stuff. But I'm thankful. It could have been it, and it could have been it. And a flash in my eye for nothing that I did wrong. Just hydroplane. So luckily, here we are. So we're doing a podcast. We're good.
Everything that I have to complain about is completely gone. I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, I am too. It
It
could have been bad.
It puts everything in perspective, though. Like, it truly does, right? Like
Yeah.
and that's the thing, is like everything that you worry about and everything all the small little shit that bothers you throughout the day, like that kind of puts it in perspective. Like we're lucky to be here. And there's a lot of things that could go wrong that don't go wrong. We're lucky that it doesn't.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what I thought. I mean, got the stuff you got done, but imagine telling your kids and your family all that stuff. Here's the other crazy thing, and I'll show you sometime. But like a day or two later, I got a message on Facebook, and they said, "Hey, were you in an accident today?" I said, "Yeah." They're like, "You want to see the video?" So somebody has it on video, and they gave it to me. So I have the actual video. Which, imagine that, like, so I have it, which was cool because, first of all, I wanted to see it and make sure I didn't do anything wrong. And the second, I wanted my family to see, because they don't know if you're on your phone, you're texting, you're doing this, you're doing that. Nobody knows, right? And so when they saw it, they're like, "Holy crap!" And then everybody saw the video of actually seeing the semi hit me, or like, that's crazy, and it was good for my kids to see too, the whole thing, right? Like it's bad and it's good. But anyway, you're right. So here we are. We're still good. And I feel like, a little bit reinvigorated after that. So that's why I brought it up before. So I'm thankful that you would have had a rest round with just one person. That would have been weird. So here, at least I'm on here.
Well, I'm glad you're here. You're the better part of this. So I appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Well, I appreciate a good talk. Have a good night, and you're the man.
Yeah, nah, I love you, man. Take it easy.
All right. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you.
Later.